The movie opens in the vast emptiness of space stretching endlessly, the stars distant and cold. A spacecraft moves steadily through the void, carrying its crew toward an unknown planet. Inside the vessel, a row of sleeping pods houses the astronauts, each one resting in cryosleep, suspended in a state of deep slumber. Among them is Andy Ramirez, an asteroid miner, his body motionless as soft blue lights flicker across the pod's surface. The ship hums gently as it glides through space, its navigation systems locked onto its destination. Everything is calm. Then, a warning blares through the ship's AI system, flashing red lights piercing the dim interior. An unseen force slams into the spacecraft, sending shockwaves through its structure. A massive chunk of space debris has collided with the hull, tearing through the metal like paper. The AI system, programmed for emergencies, immediately activates evacuation protocols. His pod hisses as it begins the waking sequence, flooding his system with stimulants to force him into consciousness. Andy barely has time to react before the AI takes over, rapidly sealing him inside a reinforced spacesuit. The suit locks around his body, pressurizing in an instant. Mechanized clamps secure his helmet in place, and his visor flashes to life, displaying critical data. The emergency hatch bursts open. The AI forcefully ejects Andy and the other surviving asteroid miners into the dark void, sending them spiraling away from the ship. Andy's body tumbles weightlessly, his limbs flailing as he watches the vessel behind him break apart in a fiery explosion. Pieces of debris scatter in all directions, some crashing into the others who were ejected alongside him. Then, gravity takes hold. Andy's trajectory shifts as he is pulled toward the surface of an uncharted planet. The atmosphere burns around him as he plunges downward, his suit's warning system blaring. He braces himself, barely able to control his descent. The ground rushes toward him at terrifying speed. He slams into the terrain with a brutal impact, skidding across the rocky surface before coming to an abrupt stop. His breath comes in sharp, painful gasps. His entire body aches. For a moment, he lies still, trying to process what just happened. His helmet's visor flickers with data, recalibrating after the violent landing. His oxygen levels are dangerously low. His suit has sustained minor damage, but it's still functional. The landscape around him is barren and alien, filled with jagged rock formations and dust-covered hills. The sky above is a dark, swirling mass of unfamiliar colors, giving the planet an eerie, otherworldly feel. Andy pushes himself up, groaning as pain shoots through his limbs. He glances around, searching for any sign of the others who were ejected from the ship. His communicator crackles as he tries to make contact. Static fills the channel. He calls out again, hoping to hear a response. But nothing. With no other choice, he starts moving toward the crash site. The walk is grueling, the terrain uneven and treacherous. His boots crunch against the rocky ground as he navigates the unfamiliar landscape. In the distance, the wreckage of the mothership looms, its remains smoldering under the alien sky. As he approaches, his AI system scans the area for life signs. His visor displays fragmented readings, something is out there, but the signals are weak. He steps carefully through the twisted metal and debris, his heart pounding in his chest. Suddenly, Andy runs into Dwayne, another astronaut from the crew. Relief washes over both of them as they now have each other. Dwayne looks exhausted but relieved to see another survivor. He explains that they are the only ones left, the rest of the crew either missing or dead. He's managed to salvage some power from the wreckage, setting up lights to provide energy. But their situation is bleak. The planet is far from their known universe, and at this distance, NASA won't be able to reach them for at least 9 months. They are stranded, forced to survive on their own. Dwayne, ever the optimist, suggests they make the planet their home for now, adapting to its conditions until rescue arrives. Andy listens, absorbing the reality of their predicament. As Dwayne sets up more lights, Andy steps forward, only to accidentally kick a power cord, shutting everything off. In the moment of darkness, something changes. When the lights flicker back on, Dwayne is gone. Andy calls out, turning in circles as he scans the area. No response. The eerie silence presses in around him. He tells himself it's a joke, that Dwayne is just messing with him. He takes Dwayne's weapon and moves on. A sudden transmission crackles in his ear. A woman's voice, weak and strained, calls for help. She says she's trapped in her pod, her legs pinned. Andy's AI locks onto her location. He moves quickly, pushing aside the growing unease in his gut. The landscape becomes darker as he presses forward, the alien night settling in. His AI warns him about his oxygen levels, but he ignores it. He needs to find her, as she has spare oxygen. While on his way, something shifts in the shadows. A flicker of movement just at the edge of his vision. Andy stops. His breathing is shallow as he listens. Silence. Then, a rock tumbles down from a nearby hill, rolling to his feet. His heart pounds. He knows he's being watched. His AI attempts to scan the area, but the system is running too low on power to function properly. He presses on, trying to shake the feeling of unseen eyes following him. As he moves deeper into the terrain, he stumbles upon something that makes his stomach tighten. Giant webs, stretching across the rock formations like a grotesque nest. A deep fear settles in. Andy has always hated spiders. Before he can react, a flare suddenly shoots into the sky, illuminating the area around him. His breath catches in his throat. Dozens of massive, alien spiders skitter across the landscape, their eyes reflecting the red light. Panic surges through him as he bolts, running as fast as his suit allows. The creatures give chase, their legs moving unnaturally fast. Andy stumbles, falling into a deep cave. His AI blares another warning, his oxygen is critically low. Then, Dwayne's voice calls out in distress. The woman urges Andy to find him, insisting that he might have enough oxygen to share. When Andy finally finds him, the horror is undeniable. A monstrous creature is hunched over Dwayne's body, feeding. Andy runs. Another creature emerges, blocking his escape. He dives into a nearby wreckage, heart pounding as the creatures search for him. Minutes pass and they move away. Andy runs off again and enters a space filled with mist. Oddly enough, the mist surrounding him makes the creatures hesitate, almost as if they fear it. He doesn't understand why, but he doesn't have time to think. He has to keep moving. Suddenly, a soft glow appears in the distance, faint but growing brighter. As Andy moves closer, he realizes that he is surrounded by clusters of luminous fireflies, their bioluminescence casting a mesmerizing purple hue in the mist. He stops, momentarily entranced by the gentle flickering lights. Andy, still connected to Naomi via the communication system, describes what he is seeing. His voice is filled with awe as he explains how the fireflies appear harmless, almost magical in their soft luminescence. But as he gets closer, something unexpected happens. One of the fireflies suddenly collides with his suit. The gentle glow shifts into a flashing red warning light, and a high-pitched alarm sound echoes from the insect's small body. Within seconds, the rest of the fireflies mimic its reaction, their peaceful glow now replaced by aggressive, blinking red lights. Andy barely manages to escape their range and walks away. Suddenly, he hears something, a deep, guttural grumble echoing through the darkness. His entire body tenses. It isn't static. It isn't the wind. Something is out there. He slowly turns, scanning the terrain for the source of the sound. Suddenly, the surface of the sand shifts. The earth caves inward as something massive emerges from beneath him. A monstrous creature bursts from the sand, its grotesque form slithering like a massive worm with jagged teeth lining its circular mouth. Before Andy can react, the creature lunges, pulling him downward with a powerful suction force. The powerful grip of the creature tightens, constricting around him like a living vice. His AI suit, unable to detect the true nature of the attack, assumes that Andy is suffering from a cardiac arrest. Without hesitation, the emergency protocol is activated. The suit sends electric shocks coursing through his body in an attempt to revive him. The sudden jolts cause the creature to convulse violently, its mouth retracting in pain. Dazed and breathless, Andy scrambles to his feet. Stumbling forward, he spots an opening in the rock formations ahead. He sprints toward it, but as soon as he enters the narrow passage, he realizes his mistake. He has stepped directly into a firefly nest. The glowing insects immediately react to his presence. Andy curses under his breath, dropping to the ground and crawling as fast as he can. He barely makes it out of the nest, his suit flashing multiple warnings about his oxygen levels. Andy stumbles forward, his vision blurring. His AI warns him that he will not make it to Naomi's location in time. But he refuses to stop. With every ounce of remaining strength, he pushes forward, running as fast as his weakened body allows. Finally, he reaches Naomi's crash site. His vision darkens at the edges, and his legs buckle beneath him. He barely manages to activate the pod's release mechanism before collapsing inside. Naomi, still trapped, quickly reacts. She grabs her oxygen supply and connects it to Andy's suit, forcing fresh air into his system. She introduces herself, her voice filled with relief. They have no time to celebrate their survival. They step out of the pod, already discussing their next course of action. But before they can decide, movement in the shadows catches their attention. The creatures have returned. Andy and Naomi don't hesitate. They turn and run. Their desperate sprint leads them back toward the wreckage of their mothership. They reach the mothership just in time. Naomi overrides the ship's systems, sealing the doors behind them before the creatures can force their way inside. As they catch their breath, they cautiously explore the ruined interior, searching for any functional escape vessels. Then, they see it. Blood, smeared across the metal floor. Their relief turns into dread. They are not alone. A grotesque creature lumbers through the corridor ahead. Andy and Naomi quickly shut off their lights and hide, watching as the monster expels chunks of organic waste from its body. Andy and Naomi slowly back away, trying to stay silent. But another creature appears behind them. They break into a run, barely dodging the snapping jaws of their pursuer. In their desperate escape, they lock themselves inside a small room, trapping themselves with no way out. Andy, realizing the hopelessness of their situation, finally opens up. He tells Naomi why he chose to become an asteroid miner. He has nothing left on Earth. His wife and son died in an accident on their way to buy him a birthday cake. He blames himself for their deaths. Naomi listens, her expression softening. She reassures him that he is not responsible, that fate is cruel, but he should not carry this burden alone. She embraces him, offering a brief moment of comfort in the face of despair. Then, she notices something moving on Andy's back. A cluster of fireflies, still attached to his suit. Andy realizes their only chance. As the creature bursts into the room, Naomi quickly throws the fireflies at its face. The insects immediately swarm, their red warning lights flashing as they attack the monster. The creature refocuses on Naomi, chasing her down the hall. Andy, thinking quickly, climbs into an emergency pod. He shouts for Naomi to lead the creature toward him. She runs, sprinting as the monster gains on her. At the perfect moment, Andy releases the pod. The massive force of impact slams into the creature, crushing it instantly. Later, Andy awakens to Naomi gently shaking him. He had lost consciousness after the battle. She helps him to his feet, and together, they step toward the window. The sun rises over the alien horizon, casting light over a new world. Andy and Naomi watch in silence, knowing that their fight for survival is far from over, but for now, they are alive.